It is time to get into the upcoming or the current season that we have going on right now in Marvel Snap, and that is the Hellfire Gala. And I believe at one point we talked about like what was upcoming in some of the seasons, and I had to have you explain to me what the Hellfire Gala was. Can you do that one more time? So if there's listeners out there, they would understand what in the world is the Hellfire Gala.
It is a new tradition established in the X-Books when Krakoa became its own nation. I'm not sure why they decided to call it the Hellfire Gala. I guess because the Hellfire Trading Company, run by the vestiges of the Hellfire Club, was kind of the economic engine for Krakoa. And this was kind of a PR thing, a celebration of mutantdom and mutant culture, kind of like the Met Gala, only the clothing was slightly less ridiculous, I guess. There's some weird stuff. If you check out the Snap variants of the Hellfire Gala variants, you'll get some idea of it. But it had all kinds of mutant bigwigs, but also they invited humans. A lot of Avengers showed up there. Past Hellfire Gala guests have included, and I'm not making this up, Conan O'Brien and Kevin Feige.
What?
Yes. The first Hellfire Gala is when the mutants terraformed Mars into planet Araco, which made some folks nervous. That's also where they elect the new team of X-Men. And then the most recent Hellfire Gala, some really bad stuff went down.
Okay.
In fact, Marvel, given their penchant for recycling past titles, made this latest Hellfire Gala the scene of the New Mutant Massacre.
Oh.
So that started the Fall of X storyline that is supposedly going to bring the Krakoa era to a close.
Interesting. Okay. The new season started on December 5th, 2023, about 8 days ago as we record. Let's get into our first set of cards, or the set of cards that are going to be released this season. Sebastian Shaw is the premier card, the card that comes with the season pass. Sebastian Shaw is a 3-cost, 4-power card. When this card permanently gains power, gain +2 on top of that. I have seen him a little bit already. He's definitely out there working with Forge and Nova. I've seen where somebody forged him, and then, of course, he gets another 2 on top of that, and then somebody blew up Nova, and he got more. It can be a monster if you can get the right cards along with Sebastian here. How about you?
I've seen him a lot since he's a 3-cost card with Silver Surfer.
Ooh, okay.
Just like in those classic Silver Surfer Sebastian Shaw team-ups in the comics. Now that I've seen it in action, it's a little better than I thought it was. I was not tempted with this season pass, though, because I don't know why, Jesse. This is not like a MODOK situation, because I at least see the appeal of MODOK. Sebastian Shaw, to me, and maybe I just haven't read the best stories, is like one of the lamest X
I don't know if there is a best Sebastian Shaw story out there.
Like
I don't think there is.
Yeah, he's like doing Benjamin Franklin cosplay. He likes to take his shirt off a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like even he was positioned as a power player in the Krakoa era, but like I can think of 2 comics because I've read a lot of those. I can think of 2 comics in there where he hasn't been a punchline.
Oh, really?
He's like a really super macho scumbag. And as ridiculous as the guys look in the Hellfire Club, they have the women dressed pretty ridiculously. And somewhere over the years, Sebastian Shaw has kind of become like the token misogynist guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, other than 1 or 2 instances, even though he's supposed to be like a major businessman and power player, he's on the Quiet Council of Krakoa. He's just the token misogynist who shows up and gets defeated thoroughly and embarrassingly by a woman who will then make a speech. Now, don't get me wrong, boo misogynist. Yes, kick his butt. But, like, he's supposed to be a threat, and he's supposed to be powerful, and he just seems like this dude who doesn't realize he's actually pathetic.
Oh, man.
Everybody else on the Quiet Council, you get why they're there. And Sebastian Shaw, they were like, hey, we need somebody who's good at business. Shaw used to have King in his codename and wears those puffy shirts. Let's ask him and just make Sunspot be the comic relief.
That seems like what they may have actually been doing with the premiere card for the season. Just like looking around, trying to figure out, okay, who do we need? Who meets the criteria of being somewhat involved with the Hellfire Club, and we don't actually have in the game yet. Oh, Sebastian Shaw, that fits the bill. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's either him or the White Queen. No one's gonna be like, dude, we finally got that Harry Leland card.
Right. Oh man. All right, next
Although
up.
now in the comics, the last I read, I've been reading a lot on Unlimited, Kingpin and Tony Stark are the white and black kings of the Hellfire Club at the moment.
Wow. It's definitely done some outreach then. It's a little less inclusive last time I remember reading it.
They're also both married to mutants now.
Okay. All right. So that brings them in.
There you go. It's a whole thing. I won't get into spoilers and that whole storyline, but I'm curious to see where they go with it.
Okay.
But yeah, basically right now Iron Man is somehow an X-Men book.
Okay. Yeah, that's different.
The only way that I would like spend a resource on Sebastian Shaw is maybe if they had a Kevin Bacon variant.
We'll take it.
X-Men First Class reference there.
There you go. There you go. All right. The Blob. 6 cost, 4 power. On reveal, merge your deck into this and gain its total power. The Blob's ongoing power is he can't be moved, which is so apt.
His mutant power.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I love it. All right. Yeah.
His on-reveal ability is just a fat joke.
True. Yeah, I made my notes there a few days ago, and since then, Blob released yesterday. But I was coming up with a strategy already, which was if your deck is going to be part of one card when you lay him down on turn 6, then you want as many heavy hitters as you can get in your deck. When that all hits, you have now a massive, massive card. I think I threw to you that it would probably be a good idea to have Taskmaster in there, so, and maybe Magic for turn 7 or Wave to get Blob out early, as long as he is still in your hand. And of course you want to protect him at all costs as well. Armor is probably a good idea to have in your deck as well. But yeah, man, this was a pretty cool card. Just looking at the abilities of the Blob. What are your thoughts on the Blob?
He was definitely a card I wanted. I wasn't 100% sure if he would. He looked like he would at the very least be fun to try to strategize with. Thought maybe he could end up like Living Tribunal, where it took a little time to figure out how to make him work. But I had 3 spotlight keys, and wouldn't you know it, I got him on the first one.
Oh, that's great.
I immediately threw together a deck that took some of your suggestions. Okay. And my friend Luke also suggested Living Tribunals. That was my initial brush with him, and he worked out pretty well. But then I dumped Living Tribunal, tried to figure out how to get a little more in there, and I ended up just putting Blob and some of your suggestions like Wave and Armor and Taskmaster into a deck I already had, and found out that Blob can really work well in a Shulkanaut deck.
Oh man, yeah. It'd be nice to have in there just in case you don't draw Infinite.
Yeah.
Because at that point you have Infinite.
Yeah. And but you get Magic in there, and you get that turn 7. Maybe you can hit She-Hulk and Infinite on turn 7 if you draw them early or you don't get the Blobs. And if you get Blob, then you've got She-Hulk and Infinite and the way I do it, Giganto sitting in that deck too.
Wow.
And the other one, I added one onto your chain if it all hits correctly. But if you play Armor, then Wave, then Blob, then Taskmaster. If you got a turn 6 or 7, how about throwing Absorbing Man out there?
Oh, yes.
I got that combo to work once.
Wow. That'd be awesome. Oh, man.
So, and then I've got Quicksilver in there too, just to get him out at the front, and Sunspot, because it's always good to have Sunspot in a good Shulkanaut deck. So
yeah. I've got 2 keys. I'm really scared to use them because I already have the other 2 cards, and I want to end up with variants of them, or I'm going to get something I'm not too excited about. I really want.
Yeah, and the Living Tribunal variant looks cool enough, and the obscure comic character fan in me is kind of intrigued by the Ravana from one of her comic incarnations that looks nothing like the TV show one.
Absolutely nothing like the TV one.
So that's kind of neat. But yeah, once I got Blob, I just decided to sit back because there's some other cards in this season I'd like a crack at.
Yeah, speaking of, going to the next one here, we got Havok. 2 cost, 0 power. Oh boy. But after each turn, you lose 1 maximum energy, and this gains +4 power. So there's a potential for this thing to grow, but your use of other cards is going to be pretty limited.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I'm thinking of, okay, I got to figure out a way to balance that out. I put X23 in Electro. X23 is probably your best bet because you can get that +1 back every turn.
Yeah.
Electro isn't.
But you get it every turn, but you can only play 1 card.
I also put in there play him late just based off of exactly what you said, Shang-Chi. If you play him late, you've got extra energy to kind of do with that, with stuff like that. I don't think I'm taking anything from your notes here, but it just hit me when we were first talking. Low cost cards.
Mm-hmm.
Low cost cards. Any zeros you can get.
Oh yeah.
Use them. Mr. Negative. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. He's going in a negative deck for sure. And now I'm sitting here thinking, like, how would Mr. Negative would work great with the Blob if you've got the Blob in your hand, because all of your cards at that point, even if you can't get to them, again, they're flipped. If you've got some of those 0 cost out there. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So there you go. That's Havok for you. That was a long way to get into it. What are your thoughts on Havok?
Psylocke would be another one you could put on there for at least some temporary relief.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get the White Hot Room, he might be interesting to try if the White Hot Room is a featured location again.
Oh yeah.
He also might be good on a lockdown team.
Oh yeah.
Where you don't need to play a lot and play him with Nebula, because if you're worried about your opponent playing there, but that's a way to keep compounding, getting more points without having to play a card there. So
yeah, that's still one card I do not have. I do not have Nebula.
And he would also be good with the Blob, because if your energy is decreasing, then you won't need as many cards to play.
That's true. But you would never be able to play the Blob though unless you get to turn 7. You got to have magic in there, because the Blob, the max you would get is 5 if he's out there.
Yeah, wave or magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might be a good addition to those high evolutionary decks with Cyclops knocking your opponent's points down.
I don't know anybody that plays those. All right, next up, Selene. A 1 cost, -1 power. On reveal, afflict the lowest power card in each player's hand with -3 power. This one was a tough one to wrap my head around.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to figure out a strategy to make her useful and not hurt you in the process.
Not to steal your thunder, but the only Hellfire Club team up that's more classic than Sebastian Shaw and Silver Surfer is Selene and Annihilus.
Selene and Annihilus. Oh, they traipse across the negative zone, wreaking havoc all the time.
They'd probably get along, honestly.
You're probably right.
It's a shame that it took Marvel Snap to get those 2 crazy kids to hang out. But go ahead. That was my initial thought, was she's good for Annihilus, and then you could be dragging another of your cards down into the negative zone, so to speak, and have Annihilus toss them over to your opponent.
Yeah. I had down here it's going to hurt Iron Man, which it would.
But only if he's that's the lowest power, not lowest cost. Yeah.
It's the lowest power. If he gets -3, he comes out again, a great combo with Annihilus, because if your opponent has an open spot over there and you can warp over Iron Man with a negative power, especially -3, that essentially becomes a -6 on top of whatever they're doubling over there. It could potentially swing things if you got Iron Man over there. But yeah, I put down here, wouldn't do much of anything to Dracula or Null. You throw out Dracula, that's going to get negated at the end of the game. Null, same thing. Doesn't matter if he's got -3 power or not.
3 less power, he'd be starting from there instead of 0.
That's true.
Not much, but wouldn't hurt.
I thought, does it say add?
I think so.
Oh yeah, I'd like to know what the text is.
Double check that.
I did put pair with goblins. Throw if you can get -3 on the hobgoblin and send him over. That's a -11 right there. That
says he has the combined power of all cards destroyed this game. I don't know if he adds. I thought it would. It would
like subtract the 3. I don't think it will. I think it acts like Dracula. I think Dracula is discard, throw the power on. Null, I think, is the same thing where he just comes out of the 0 no matter what. And then at the end of I don't know if it's at the end of the game. I have no idea. If you played him, let's just say you played him and no cards were destroyed in the game, and Celine got played, would he be laid out there as a -3? I'm curious.
Would.
Yeah, I think he would too. I'd have to see it. Again, they're finding ways to put abilities and mechanics onto these cards, keep the game more interesting, which is good. I'm glad that they're doing that. Celine will be no different. She'll ruin a lot of people's plans, I have a feeling, because they're going to throw something out there, but it's going to cost them those few crucial points to win that lane, and plus it ruins. It's just not good. It's not good. Any other thoughts on Celine before we get into the locations?
No, like I said, she'll probably pop right into my Annihilus deck and may bump Angel out of there. Maybe okay. Nico. I don't know.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into our locations here. Our locations, starting with the location that's hot right now as we speak, and that's Castle Blackstone. The player winning here gets +1 energy each turn. My notes were, this should be fun to watch. People fight over. You might want to get your Watcher in your hand and start laying down on it early.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you are getting the energy as soon as it appears, if it's going to appear turn 3.
Didn't really have a deck built specifically for it. If you're going to load the blob up, he's good to put on there. And just watch out for Shang-Chi. But yeah, it's that +1 energy can be a difference maker sometimes. It's a fun one to try.
All right.
I said it might be good with Havok because that makes up the energy you're losing, and Venom might be good there because you can play him and keep building that location up.
That's true. It's true.
But you gotta have other location, one more to win the game. So
that's right. All right. Then next up, second location is going to be White Palace, which is copy the highest card in your opponent's hand. And yeah, it's White Queen as a location.
Yep.
It will make for some interesting strategies come turn 6. You're going to have an idea of what's in your opponent's hand at that point. You should. There's always the possibility they may draw their key card afterwards. But usually if they've got a heavy hitter there, you're going to know what it is. And then if it's Hulk that's in their hand and he's in your hand too, if you got a Shang-Chi, you just got to try and figure out where he's going to lay it. Yeah, White Queen as a location. Usually, what does it cost to get White Queen out? 4?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people usually weren't using that card earlier unless you were trying to use Psylocke and get her out there early for some reason, because it's not right now in my game playing ability am I sitting there trying to figure out a way to get White Queen out early so I can see what card you have in your hand. This will actually figure into a lot of people's game playing. Of the 2 locations, I feel like White Palace probably is a little bit better, but it's not very inventive. It's just taking a card that's already out there, and making it a location. But it does change the game a little bit because people are going to be able to see what's going on maybe a little bit early. You may be able to see what's in that person's hand turn 1 if they got a big hand, big card in that person's hand.
You play a few on it, and if say the high card in their hand is She-Hulk, that could get interesting.
Oh, really? Yeah. Legion would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Get a couple of everybody. Oh, now you got 3 of the highest cards both of you do. What's going to go down?
Or that might be a good time to play the good old Silver Surfer deck, because there wouldn't be as many high cards for them to grab.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, they'd all be little.
I have a lot of 3-cost cards in there. So that might be a good time to visit that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I like that. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is a look at the Hellfire Gala season. Started in December here. Best of luck to you. Hope you win a lot of games and maybe employ some of the strategies that we came up with here. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.